Greetings, brothers and sisters. I hope I find you well. This is Coach MelVee, your life, relationship, and executive coach. I want to present right now a topic which is very sensitive, a topic which is very profound and emotionally charged. The question is, what actually happens to a man physiologically, biologically, psychologically, and socially when he is betrayed? I know the talk out there is men cheat and they expect women to understand. But when they are cheated, they are destroyed by it. And so, yes, I want to tackle that today and dig deeper into the psychological, physiological, and biological reactions that actually happen to a human body, a male human body. And I would like to believe women feel some of this too. But let me focus on my brothers right now. The man, what happens to his body, to his mind, to his spirit? Betrayal, particularly of a sexual nature, such as sexual infidelity of a spouse, is one of the deepest psychological and spiritual wounds that a man can experience. In fact, in my own estimation, it is worse than death. It is worse than losing my wife to death than to be cheated. And let's unpack it holistically so that we can gain understanding in terms of what exactly happens to this man physiologically, psychologically, and spiritually. Let me start with the physiological and the biological reactions. When a man is betrayed, particularly by his wife, the one that he has lived with, it doesn't matter for 2 months, for 3 months, for 3 years, for 30 years, the body reacts as though it has been physically attacked. You know the way you're physically attacked? That's how a man feels it. So the stress hormones surge, adrenaline rushes in, because when you are attacked, you get an adrenaline rush to want to defend. And so his body reacts as though he is being physically attacked. And so it produces a fight or a flight response. And men are fighters. And so don't underestimate what a betrayed man can do. They can attack, and they can kill, and they can destroy. And so physiologically, it means his heart rate goes up, his blood pressure goes up, he sweats a lot, and his muscles are tensed, ready to fight or to flight. And many men, they report feeling a tightening of the chest or a burning sensation in the chest. They can't breathe properly. All right, the heart is pounding. They can feel the heartbeat right inside their ears. This means his sympathetic nervous system is in overdrive. And when you look at the brain, when they study the neuroimaging, and many studies have been done on this. When they look at the brain of an emotionally betrayed and distressed husband, they actually notice that the emotional betrayal activates some brain regions that are directly linked to physical pain. So when I have a physical pain on my body, the brain part that is activated to respond to that pain is the same brain center that is activated when there is betrayal. Particularly, they isolated the anterior cingulate cortex or the insula. Those ones light up to show that the brain is interpreting rejection or betrayal as a threat to survival, and therefore it starts activating a response as if though there's physical harm. And the levels of dopamine or the levels of oxytocin that are associated to bonding or to pleasure, they drop drastically. So this man loses interest in you. He demonstrates withdrawal. He is no longer interested perhaps in the things that you were doing together. The loss actually almost mimics what we see as withdrawal symptoms from people who are addicted to something. So it's like you're no longer a point of interest for this man. What does that do to his sleep pattern, to his appetite, as well as to his immunity? This is where things get really crazy. Because a man who's dealing with constant and chronic cortisol elevation, stressed, hurting, and feeling the pain, and having this adrenaline rush that stays in the system, they end up experiencing insomnia. Most men who are betrayed struggle to go to sleep. They lose appetite, and many of them lose weight. Some, unfortunately, they react by overeating to just comfort themselves. Their immune system is weakened, testosterone may fall, and their sex drive is just gone. Even if you're trying to work things out together and you're talking and you're trying to be intimate with him, the hormones are just gone. They are not there inside, so you can't work this thing up. And for men, sex is in the mind. It's not in the organ. It's in the mind. So some men may end up experiencing chronic chest pains, which they think it's actually a heart attack or something. They have ulcers because of the chronic stress hormone, and even some develop psychosomatic symptoms such as physical illness. They really are triggered so heavily that they go to hospital sick. They are admitted sick, and the doctors are looking left, right, and center for a disease. They can't find them because what they're dealing with is a broken heart syndrome. In short, the body breaks any equilibrium. It feels like there's death inside. The whole biological system is in a mess. The brain is detecting or it's processing the death of trust and safety, and it deals with it as if though it's a real physical injury. Let's talk about psychological and emotional reactions in the mind and emotionally, because a human being is a spirit man, he is a physical man, meaning he has emotions through the senses of the body, the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the touch, the eyes. We sense things in our environment and we send those to our soul, which is our emotional hub center, which also includes the brain when we interpret what we see. So men often derive their identity from loyalty, from provision, being providers and being protectors of the family. So when a man is betrayed, you need to understand that his core identity has been violated. It's like his perimeter fence has been breached by the enemy. He begins to question his masculinity. Am I the real man? Am I really worth it? And he begins to judge himself. You don't need to condemn him anymore. This man is already judging himself internally. Was I not enough? How did I miss this? How did someone come into my territory and take what's mine? They feel violated seriously. And in terms of their mindset, they are trying to reconcile conflicting truths that, yes, she said she loved me. She gave herself to me, but at the same time, she also went away from me. That causes serious cognitive dissonance, which is saying they know both sides of the story, but they don't know which one to go with. So the tension leads to mental confusion. This man becomes an obsessive thinker, and sometimes he becomes emotionally numb. He's just not there. You can't feel him. You can try as much as you can. He's not responsive anymore, because to this man, his world has been shattered. And some men even try to replay the betrayal in the mind. They want more details. What happened? When you hear them asking, how could you do this? Why did you do this? And sometimes we ask the wrong questions at that time, because the issue is never why you did it. It's why the real question is not why you did it. It must be, what is it that we said yes to and what is it we said no to? And so at this stage, a man is trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. And he will not rest until he gets to the bottom of it. And this is what causes a lot of emotional turbulence. Meaning he's up one time, he's happy, he's excited, something has just triggered him to think that things are going to be fine. But right in the next flick of a moment, he's a mess, he's angry, he has outbursts. So sometimes he is in shock and is in denial. He can't believe that this is true, that his sweetheart, that girl that he courted and chased after, has betrayed him. He also flips into anger and rage, and sometimes he directs this at the wife and sometimes at himself, and he hates himself, and sometimes he directs it at God. Where was God when my wife was doing this? He even starts living the memories of saying, so it was on that day. Oh, so what really happened? And he gets into this obsessive drive to think about, how did this actually happen? And what was my wife doing? And how did she do this? And let me tell you, before you know it, this man is in depression. He has withdrawn. He has lost feelings. He has become hopeless. Or he even has become suicidal. And he has become very, very dangerous to himself and to people around him, especially if the betrayer is within his reach. There are many crimes of passion where men have taken a gun and walked out and blown someone's head. And let me tell you, it has never solved anything. In fact, it worsens the situation because many of them are in jail as I speak for having killed the men who cheated with their wives. And in many cases, he blows that guy, he blows the wife, and he blows himself. And guess what? It's the children who are left to deal with this mess. And so, should he continue living and trying to make meaning and sense of this, I want you to know that this man is already in trust trauma. Betrayal creates what we call attachment injury. By that we mean the brain, which is trained to trust as a way of surviving, that pathway of the brain in dealing with trust, that neural pathway which it had used to. When you see someone, you trust them, you don't panic, you don't fear, you know you're in good spaces. When you're with good friends, you feel good. But when that friend cheats, that wife cheats, when that husband cheats and they betray you, they become the enemy of your safe space, you get injured such that you will feel that all future relationships are not something for you. You don't want to create new relationships. Your pathways are disrupted, and that also affects your future relationships. And that's why we don't recommend men who have just had betrayal to move straight into another relationship, because you are coming in very deeply wounded. And you're making the next person to nurse you and to look after you and to care for you when you are wounded. And guess what? You're not going to look at them innocently, because you're going to project the past relationship into this one. So even when the man wants to forgive, the nervous system remains on alert, scanning for possible betrayal again and looking for evidences. You become hypersensitive. You are a relationship detective. You are always looking and you are skeptical because trust is destroyed. It's gone. You're finding it difficult. Should you always stay in that state? I believe no. Because that one is killing yourself. That one is destroying everything around you. There is a way around. And I'm going to talk about this in a moment as I wrap up this talk. So hang in right there. And if this is making sense to you and you really feel this is information that is helpful to you, please like and follow this channel. I will be giving you more such information in the future. Let's talk about his spiritual reaction. Men feel that betrayal is a violation of a covenant. I'm sure women feel the same. So within the Christian space and our understanding of marriage, it is a covenant you do before God, because God is the three-part cord in your marriage. So you feel that contract, according to Malachi chapter 2, verse 14 to 16, God was a witness with the woman of your youth whom you have dealt with treacherously. So it is a contract between you, your wife, and God. So when a wife cheats, it's not only an emotional wound that is inflicted, but a spiritual rupture. It's a tearing apart of the garment. It's a desecration of something sacred. It's like the Holy of Holies, the curtain has ripped open. And so there is a sense of rejection before God. He feels rejected. Men tend to internalize this and make betrayal feel like God allowed this because I'm not worth it. I don't deserve to be peaceful and I don't deserve to be happy. And they feel it's actually a sign that they have failed spiritually. And this can trigger spiritual disorientation. Prayer becomes just dry. They don't even want to do it anymore. Worship becomes meaningless. And God is distant. There is no God. Because if he was there, why would he allow such to happen to me? And you will hear this even in the prayer of David. If you have read Psalms 55, verse 12 to 14, he captures this agony very clearly where he says, for it was not an enemy who reproached me. It was not an enemy, but one like me. But it was you, a man of my equal, my companion, my acquaintance. David is moaning here and is lamenting the fact that you are my peer, a man like me. How could you do this to me? And so one of the things that then happens to a spiritually wounded man, besides rejection of God, is that there is a growing temptation for bitterness and for revenge. The spirit becomes a battlefield between forgiveness and vengeance. Should I forgive my wife? But what am I going to do with those who betrayed me with her? Hebrews writes and warns us about this bitterness. If you read the Bible, it says, see to it that the root of bitterness does not spring forth and cause trouble to many. So it is bitterness that bursts out and causes many to be defiled. So you must be careful how you handle betrayal in your home, because if you don't handle it carefully, just the mention of your story that there is betrayal in that marriage can defile many, many people. And many may end up saying, if Pastor so-and-so can do it, if deaconess or women's ministries leader so-and-so can do it, if such wife to an elder so-and-so can do it, who am I that I should be judged? And so people can actually take license to go and do these things because you did it. And there could be men out there who were contemplating and infatuated with you, and they hear you were doing this with so-and-so. They then say, so I have my chance. I could try it with her. That's how sad sin is. And so the temptation to be angry, to be bitter can take root, and it poisons the soul of the person who did the sin. They may end up becoming bold if they survive the fallout and say, I've been through it, now I'm tougher, I'm graduated, I've got my stripes, I can do it. And sometimes it leads to cynicism and the hardness of heart such that people end up saying, I don't care what happens to me, I'm going to do it anyway. It felt good after all. And so that could be the hardening of the heart. But also, I want to say for some who are God-fearing, this becomes an opportunity for spiritual death and rebirth. The breaking of that relationship could actually be ushering a new spiritual relationship. So some men collapse spiritually. This thing collapses them, turns them into alcoholics. Some of them turn into pornography as a way of soothing their bruised and broken heart. And some of them isolate themselves just as a way of numbing pain. They don't want to be in the company of friends. They don't want to be in the company of other men. Others, by the grace of God, they experience spiritual reawakening. It becomes an opportunity to transform. And so as a life coach, when I get a man who comes to me broken and wanting sympathy, I'm not interested. Because I need you to heal from this episode so that you can move with the lessons you're picking here to become the new you. That's if you are the one betrayed. But if you are the betrayer, you need also to think about how you're going to transform yourself. How is it that you said yes? What were you looking for in the betrayal that you couldn't find in yourself and in your relationship? Now that you know how it really hurt the person you profess to love so much, what are you going to learn from it and how are you going to live your life in future? That's if you still retain your relationship. But if the betrayed spouse doesn't want to reconcile with you, then you've got to have to pick up the pieces and start your life afresh. So every crisis is an opportunity for transformation into the new relationship and the new you. Because I always tell you, and I always say this to anyone I get a chance to speak to, you are one big embarrassment away from being transformed. One will change you forever. And so this is an opportunity for you to really look deeply and realize that Christ was also betrayed. And he did not abandon his mission because he was betrayed. In fact, he forgave those who trespassed against him. He prayed while he was in pain and said, "Forgive them, for they do not know." Because pain has a way of shaping us into what we ought to become. So you need, my brother, to awaken, to realize what's happening. Because true healing does not come from revenging. It doesn't come from hurting. It comes through a lament and forgiveness and a surrender through denial, submitting yourself to God on behalf of the one who have betrayed you. That's why the prayer says, "Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who trespass against us." It's a difficult road, and I don't want you to walk on it alone. Get a professional therapist, get a infidelity recovery specialist, get a seasoned life and relationship coach who can walk you through this, because physiologically, just to summarize what you're dealing with, you have stress hormones, you have pain circuits that are triggered everywhere in your body, you have loss of sleep, insomnia, and your immunity is suppressed because of continuous, consistent cortisol release into the system. And the outcome of that is because you become exhausted, you become depressed, and you experience burnout of your relationship. You just want to walk away. And physiologically, your image of worth is shattered. You've got cognitive dissonance, you've got mental storms, you've got emotional grief. And the person who caused you the grief is walking about there and it has potential to still harm you more. So you become angry, you become distrustful, and you begin to blame yourself. And physically, you experience a broken covenant. You lose a friend and someone you loved so closely. Not only one, perhaps two, because they might be cheating with someone who's close to you. So they're destroying even that relationship that you had with that person, as much as they're destroying the one they have with you. And so you experience spiritual apathy. And sometimes you're tempted to justify your bitterness and to justify you doing something even worse. I've heard stories of men who even want to marry a second wife, which is a very subtle way of punishing the wife for having done what she did. And so I just want to say, when a wife betrays a husband, the man's soul experiences death. It's a kind of death. Death of trust, death of innocence, death of the covenant. And yet, if he brings that wound, that pain, that betrayal before God, and commit to a spiritual renewal and regeneration and transformation program, the same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, that raised Lazarus from the dead, can bring a resurrection into the heart of that man. And I'm here to tell you as a Christian coach that you don't have to divorce your wife because of betrayal. You don't have to destroy the legacy you have been building together because of betrayal. In fact, your relationship can become even more deeper and more open in terms of your communication, and in terms of your understanding of each other, and in terms of the value of what you want to stand for, it gets better sometimes after the mistake, after the error, after the sin of infidelity. You can still forgive one another, and you can still rebuild. But if your heart is stiff-necked, you can't find it in your heart. God gave you the right. Instead of passively punishing this person while living with them, and you become two broken and toxic people in the same environment, it's better off you break it and go your separate ways. God still loves the divorced, but I want you to be aware, if you are the one who was unfaithful, you cannot get married by anyone. If you are the one who caused this infidelity, you have to stay single. That's what the word of God says. It's not me. Stay single as long as this one is there, until perhaps they die and they get married, where now you stay single, because the one who is allowed to get married is the one who was cheated. All right? But in many cases, I would dare challenge you, those who think you are innocent, you are cheated. Have you not been unfaithful yourself? Have you not been unfaithful to God even in your thinking? Have you not committed the sin in your heart? Because there are people who say, I didn't do it, it's just an emotional hook I had on someone. It is infidelity. It is called emotional infidelity. So while you stand there and you want to be the innocent one, I want you to also realize that you're not that innocent. You need also God to forgive you, and that you may pass that forgiveness to your spouse. So if you want to break it, break it. God has allowed you. And we know it's because people can't stomach such sin. All right? They can't. And so if you can't stomach it, my brother, and if you can't look at your wife again and love her and feel that she's clean, you can sleep with her too, because some men then end up thinking she's so defiled and demonic, I don't want to have anything to do with her. Because your mind is not telling you that there can be grace here, which you also need from God for the sins you committed. And so you can be gracious and rebuild and build a much stronger relationship against which the gates of hell may not prevail. Or you can decide to destroy your legacy and start a new one, but I can tell you, you are better off building or rebuilding than starting something new, because there are no angels here on earth. Everyone comes with a history. Everyone has a past. Everyone has issues. There are sinners here. So make your choice. But in the end, I want you to know that God has not forsaken you. He is still with you. He weeps along with you. He bottles your pains, and yet he is able to remove the sting of betrayal and allow you to forgive your spouse and rebuild afresh. If you're interested in building, get in touch with me. Let's grow together and help each other to be transformed, because there is power available to help us to recover from this. And as a professional coach, I will be happy to help you rediscover your marriage joy. God bless you, and I hope to hear from you. The description contains my contact details, and please do get in touch.